This is our cover page. Today we are going to learn the poem From a Railway Carriage. From a Railway Carriage, Chapter 7. About the author. This poem is written by Robert Louis Stevenson, 1850 to 1894. He is a Scottish novelist, poet, and essayist. He was born in Edinburgh. His formal education was greatly interrupted by illness and was frequently taken for holidays. He tried to study engineering, then law, but in 1873 he decided to embark upon a literary career. His novels Treasure Island and Kidnapped are well known. In another one, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he shows how every individual has tendencies to do both good and evil. He really loved children and understood them. This poem shows his skill as a poet. From a railway carriage. रेलगाड़ी के डब्बे से. This poem is a great poem by Robert Louis Stevenson. I'm going to read this poem twice. मैं ये poem 2 बार पढ़ूंगी आपके लिए. And in between the 2 readings, I'm going to explain quickly a few words and phrases. और इसी के बीच में आपके लिए मैं जल्दी से phrases और words पढ़ती जाऊंगी, समझाती जाऊंगी. अब शुरू करते हैं. आप मेरे साथ साथ पढ़ें और समझें. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, परियों से तेज, जादूगरनियों से तेज. Bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, पुलों, घरों, घड़ों और नालों से. And charging along like troops in a battle. इस तरह आगे बढ़ती है जैसे कि मैदान जंग में फौजें. All through the meadows, the horses and cattle. सब ज़ाज़ारों, घोड़ों और मवेशियों के करीब से हमला करें. All of the sides of the hill and the plain. पहाड़ों, मैदानों के तमाम मनाज़िर. Fly as thick as driving rain. तेज बारिश की तरह नजर आते हैं. And ever again in the wink of an eye. फिर सीटी बजाती हुई तेजी से. Painted stations whistle by. रंगीन स्टेशनों से गुजर जाती है. इसके phrases पढ़ते हैं. Hedge. Hedge. Hedge is a sort of fence made out of shrub or bush. उसके बाद है ditch. Ditch. A ditch is a long, low place where water can run off from a road or field. Troops. Troops. Troops, of course, are soldiers. Meadow. A meadow is a grassy field, a place where you might find cattle, which just means cows and bulls. Driving rain. is a heavy or blowing rain, as in a storm. Ever again means every now and then. फिर पढ़ती हूँ. Ever again means every now and then. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles. किसी जगह एक बच्चा मुश्किल से ऊपर चढ़कर आगे बढ़ता है. All by himself and gathering brambles. और ब्लैकबेरी की खारदार झाड़ियों से बेर जमा करता है. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes. कहीं कोई आवारा गर्द ट्रेन को गौर से देखता है. And there is the green for stringing the daisies. कहीं सब्ज़ार में हार पिरोने के लिए डेजी खुले हैं. Here is a cart run away in the road. वो आवारा सड़क पर चल रहे हैं. Lumping along with men and load. जो चारों ना चार आदमी और वज़न के साथ रेंग रहे हैं. And here is a mill and there is a river. कहीं कोई चक्की चल रही है और कहीं दरिया बह रहा है. Each a glimpse and gone forever. सब एक ही झलक दिखाई देती है और हमेशा के लिए गायब हो जाती है. Scrambles. To move with difficulty over rough or steep ground. Brambles. Thorny bushes which bear the fruit called blackberries. Tramp. A homeless person who goes from place to place and does no regular work. To string. To make a garland of. Daisy. It is one of the commonest wild flower in Britain and also in our northern areas. The green. A grassy common land in village. To lump. To move heavily and awkwardly. A glimpse. A brief look. जैसे कि मैंने आपको कहा था कि हम ये पोएम दोबारा पढ़ेंगे जल्दी. मेरे साथ आप पढ़ेंगे. From a railway carriage. Faster than ferries, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in battle, all through the meadows, the horses and cattle, all of the sides of the hill and plain, fly as thick as driving rain, and ever again in the wink of an eye, painted station whistle by. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles. किसी जगह एक बच्चा मुश्किल से ऊपर चढ़कर आगे बढ़ता है. All by himself and gathering brambles. और एक ब्लैकबेरी की खारदार झाड़ियों से बेर जमा करता है. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes. कहीं कोई आवारा गर्द ट्रेन को गौर से देखता है. And there is the green for stringing the daisies. कहीं सब्ज़ार में हार पिरोने के लिए डेजी खुले हैं. Here is a cart run away in the road. यहाँ पे कोई आवारा रोड पे चल रहा है. Lumping along with men and load. जो उस आवारा आदमी के साथ या खाना बदोश आदमी के साथ रेंग रहा है वज़न के साथ. And here is a mill and there is a river. कहीं कोई चक्की चल रही है और कहीं दरिया बह रहा है. Each a glimpse and gone forever. सब एक ही झलक दिखाई देती है और हमेशा के लिए गायब हो जाती है। अब इसमें कुछ वर्ड्स की मीनिंग्स हम पढ़ेंगे, आप भी मेरे साथ दोहराइएगा। टू क्लैम्बर, टू क्लैम्बर, टू क्लाइंब विथ some difficulty. To scramble, to move with difficulty over rough or steep ground. Brambles, brambles, thorny bushes which bear the fruit called blackberries. Tramp, tramp, a homeless person who goes from place to place and does not regular work. To string, to string, to make a garland of. Daisy, it is one of the commonest wild flowers in Britain and also in Pakistan, in northern areas of Pakistan. The green, a grassy common land in a village. To lump, to lump, to move heavily and awkwardly. A glimpse, a glimpse, a brief look. Stanza number 1. Faster than ferries, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle, all through the meadows, the horses and cattle. Reference to context. These lines have been taken from the poem From a Railway Carriage, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. In this poem, the poet shares his experience of a railway journey with us. He described its speed as very amazing. He presents natural senses as seen from the windows of a railway carriage. Explanation of the first stanza. Poet says that train runs more quickly than the ferries can fly or the witches can move. शायर कहता है ट्रेन इतना तेज़ चलती है जैसे परियां तेज़ी से चलती हों या विचेस तेज़ी से मूव करती हों. When train advances forward, it seems as the soldiers are attacking enemy in a battlefield. ऐसे तेज़ी से ट्रेन चलती है जैसे लगता हो कि फौजी अपने दुश्मनों पे हमला कर रहे हैं. The train rushes on leaving bridges and houses, fences, ditches behind. ट्रेन तेज़ी से चलती जाती है, वो पुलें, घर, fences पीछे छोड़ती जाती है. It also leaves behind the green fields where horses and cattle are grazing. वो पीछे छोड़ती जाती है माल मवेशी सारा जो हरियाली में नज़र आता है. Stanza 2. All of the sides of the hill and plain fly as the thick as driving rain, and ever again in the wink of an eye painted stations whistle by. Reference to context same होगा. इसकी explanation आपको मैं पढ़ के समझाती हूँ. Explanation is stanza 2 की. Poet says that all the scenes of hill and plain were being crossed by train as quick as one drop of rain follows another drop in a stone. शायर कहता है ये सारे नज़ारे जो कि पहाड़ों के हों, सीधी ज़मीन के हों, ऐसे नज़र आते हैं जैसे एक कतरा पानी का, बारिश का में बहते हुए पानी का एक कतरा दूसरे के पीछे आता है. Again and again in very short moment train was crossing stations with a whistle. आगे ट्रेन बढ़ती जाती है, क्रॉस करती जाती है हर स्टेशन और सीटी बजाती जाती है. From the window of compartment of train buildings and stations were seemed as painted picture. और उस ट्रेन की खिड़की से ऐसे लगता है जैसे कि स्टेशन की वो बिल्डिंग सारी पेंटिंग्स की तरह हों. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Stanza 3. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles all by himself and gathering brambles. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and here there is green for stringing and daisies. Reference to context. आप दोबारा पढ़ लीजिएगा. आगे बढ़ते हैं एक्सप्लेनेशन के लिए. Stanza 3 explanation. In these lines, poet says that from the windows of the compartment of train, he sees a child climbing a steep ground by himself with difficulties. शायर कहता है उस कंपार्टमेंट की खिड़की से नज़र आता है वो बच्चा जो चढ़ने की कोशिश करता है बड़ी मुश्किल से. The child was also gathering blackberries during climbing. उसी चढ़ाई के वक्त वो बच्चा ब्लैकबेरीज जमा करता जाता है. Poet sees a homeless person who was looking at the train with amazement. Poet देखता है एक वो आदमी जो होमलेस है अजीब नज़रों से ट्रेन को. He also sees some ladies in a common village grassy land. They were making garlands of daisy flowers. वो वहाँ पे मकामी औरतें गांव में देखते हैं जो डेजीज जो कि फ्लावर को कहते हैं उसके ताज बना रहे हैं. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Stanza 4. Here is a cart run away in the road, lumping along with men and load. And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever. Reference to context. आप पढ़ लीजिएगा यहाँ से. Stanza 4 explanation. Poet says that he sees a cart moving slowly in the middle of a highway. It was full of load and cart driver was sitting on the top of the load. शायर यहाँ पे कहता है उसने एक कार्ट देखा जिसके ऊपर बहुत सारा वज़न पड़ा हुआ था और उसी के ऊपर उसका ड्राइवर बैठा हुआ था. He sees a water mill and river while traveling in the train. उसने पानी की मिल देखी और वो झीलें भी देखी ट्रेन में सफ़र करते हुए. All these objects appeared and then disappeared so quickly. ये सारी चीज़ें नज़र आती थीं और गायब हो जाती थी जल्दी से. That poet looked at them for very brief time and they can never be seen again. ये सारी चीज़ें शायर ने थोड़े से टाइम में देखी और उसने फिर वो कभी नहीं देखी क्योंकि वो नज़रों से गायब हो चुकी थी. What does the poet see from a railway carriage? Answer is he sees the beauty of the area. He also sees a boy who is collecting services hardly, a homeless person who is doing nothing but to stare, and a man who is lifting the overloaded cart. Question number 2. What pleasures does the railway journey gives to the poet? Answer is the railway journey gives an immeasurable pleasure to the poet. Natural beauty provides him an everlasting joy which includes the sights of meadows, daisies, mill, river, hill, plain, etc. He is pleased because a thing of beauty is a joy forever.